First contact and misjudgment. The Zarkonian fleet emerged from hyperspace on the outskirts of the Sol system, their massive ships casting long shadows across the asteroid belt. Admiral Vexlor, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Expansion Force, stood on the bridge of the flagship, his four eyes fixed on the blue-green orb that was third from the star. "Primitive," he muttered, mandibles clicking in disdain. "Sensor readings confirm. High Council. This Earth is occupied by a pre-spaceflight civilization. Atmosphere: nitrogen-oxygen. Biosphere: carbon-based. Technology level: early information age. No significant defenses detected." The High Council's holographic images shimmered before him, their elongated heads nodding in unison. "Proceed with standard colonization protocol, Admiral," the head counselor declared. "These humans should pose no threat to our superior technology and biology." Vexlor bowed, his exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's ambient lighting. "As you command, we shall begin resource extraction immediately." As the Zarkonian ships approached Earth, they remained cloaked, confident in their technological superiority. They observed the planet for several solar rotations, studying its inhabitants through their advanced surveillance systems. The aliens watch humans go about their daily lives, commuting in primitive combustion vehicles, communicating through rudimentary electronic devices, and engaging in what appeared to be meaningless social rituals. They saw no signs of interplanetary travel, no energy weapons, no force fields. The Zarkonians grew increasingly certain that this would be an easy conquest. "Look at them," Lieutenant Zaresh sneered, pointing at a holographic display of a bustling city street. "They scurry about like insects, unaware of their impending doom. This species is soft. Admiral, they will make excellent slaves for the Empire." Admiral Vexlor shuddered in agreement. "Indeed. Their physical form is inefficient, their sensory organs limited. They lack natural armor or significant physical strength. These humans are prey species, nothing more." The Zarkonians, in their arrogance, failed to notice the subtle signs of humanity's true nature. They overlooked the competitive sports, the martial arts dojos, the military bases hidden in plain sight. They dismissed the violent entertainment media as mere fantasy, unable to comprehend that it reflected humanity's capacity for both creation and destruction. As the aliens prepared for their first overt actions, they decided to test humanity's response with small-scale interventions. They began by abducting isolated individuals from remote areas, confident that such actions would go unnoticed or be dismissed as paranoid ramblings. Their first target was a lone hiker in the Australian outback. The Zarkonians expected an easy capture, but they were unprepared for the humans' tenacity. The hiker, a former Special Forces soldier named Jack Thompson, fought back with unexpected ferocity. He managed to seriously wound 2 Zarkonian soldiers before being subdued, leaving the aliens puzzled and slightly unnerved. This specimen displayed unusual aggression. The chief xenobiologist reported, examining Jack's unconscious form in the ship's laboratory. "Perhaps an anomaly. We should gather more samples." Similar scenarios played out across the globe. A group of mountaineers in the Andes mounted a coordinated defense against their would-be abductors. A tribal hunter in the Amazon rainforest evaded capture for days, leading the aliens on a wild chase through the dense jungle. Each encounter left the Zarkonians increasingly perplexed. Admiral Vexlor called an emergency meeting with his top officers. "These humans are not behaving as expected," he admitted, mandibles twitching nervously. "They show a level of aggression and adaptability that our initial assessments did not predict." Lieutenant Zaresh, still nursing a wound from a recent abduction attempt, spoke up. "Admiral, I believe we may have underestimated this species. They possess a cunning that belies their primitive technology. Perhaps we should revise our approach." Vexlor dismissed the concern with a wave of his upper limb. "Nonsense. A few anomalies do not change the fact that we are technologically superior. We simply need to adjust our tactics, prepare for a larger-scale operation. It's time to make our presence known to their leaders." The Zarkonians decided to reveal themselves to human governments, believing that a show of force would quickly bring the planet to heel. They chose to appear simultaneously over several major cities across the globe: New York, London, Moscow, Beijing, and Tokyo. As the massive alien ships decloaked above these metropolitan centers, panic erupted in the streets. Emergency sirens wailed, traffic ground to a halt, and millions of smartphone cameras pointed skyward, capturing humanity's first undeniable contact with extraterrestrial life. In New York, the Zarkonian ship hovered ominously over Manhattan, its size dwarfing even the tallest skyscrapers. Admiral Vexlor himself led this operation, confident that the humans would soon surrender in the face of such overwhelming technological superiority. Humans of Earth. Vexlor's voice boomed across the city, translated into multiple languages by the ship's advanced systems. We are the Zarkonian Empire, and we claim this world as our own. Submit to our rule, and you may live as our subjects. Resist, and face annihilation. The response was not what the Zarkonians expected. Instead of immediate capitulation, the humans reacted with a mix of fear, defiance, and curiosity. Military jets scrambled from nearby bases, circling the alien ships at a cautious distance. Police and emergency services mobilized, working to maintain order and evacuate civilians from the areas directly beneath the ships. In London, Prime Minister Eleanor Hughes stood firm, addressing her nation from 10 Downing Street. People of Britain, and indeed, people of Earth, she began, her voice steady despite the unprecedented situation. We face a threat unlike any in human history, but we face it together, united as one species. We will not bow to intimidation or threats. We are humanity, and we will defend our home. Similar messages of defiance came from leaders around the world. The Russian president vowed that Earth would not fall to alien imperialism. China's leader called for global unity in the face of extraterrestrial aggression. Even smaller nations joined the chorus, with the Prime Minister of New Zealand declaring, "We may be small, but we are fierce." Kaya Ka'a. Earth. The Zarkonians were taken aback by this global show of resistance. They had expected their mere presence to be enough to subjugate the planet. Now, faced with unanimous defiance, they were forced to reconsider their strategy. Admiral Vexlor, watching the human response from his command center, felt the first stirrings of doubt. This is unprecedented," he muttered. "No species has ever united so quickly against us. How can they not see the futility of their resistance?" Lieutenant Zaresh, monitoring global communications, reported with a note of concern in his voice. "Admiral, the humans are not just resisting. They're mobilizing. Military forces worldwide are on high alert. Their primitive weapons may not be a match for our technology, but their numbers and determination are significant." Vexlor chittered in frustration. "Impossible. They're savages, prey animals. They should be cowering in fear, not preparing for war. Initiate secondary protocol. Show them the consequences of defiance." Following the Admiral's orders, the Zarkonian ships unleashed a series of coordinated strikes. Energy beams lanced down from the sky, targeting military installations and government buildings. In New York, the Statue of Liberty crumbled under alien fire. In Beijing, the Great Wall was breached by explosions from above. London Bridge did, in fact, fall down. The attacks were meant to break the human's will, to demonstrate the futility of resistance against such advanced technology. But once again, humanity's response defied alien expectations. Instead of capitulating, humans doubled down on their defiance. Emergency broadcasts rallied citizens to support their armed forces. Civilian volunteers flocked to aid in evacuation and relief efforts. In an unprecedented move, the United Nations convened an emergency session and voted unanimously to form a global defense coalition. As reports of human resilience and adaptability flooded in from around the globe, Admiral Vexlor found himself facing a disturbing realization. "High Council," he reported, his voice trembling slightly, "we may have gravely misjudged this species. These humans, they're not prey, they're predators. The head counselor's holographic image flickered with concern. Explain, Admiral. How can a species so technologically inferior pose any real threat? Vexlord gestured to the streams of data flowing across his command screens. They possess a tenacity we've never encountered before. Their social structures, which we dismissed as primitive, allow them to cooperate on a global scale with astonishing speed. And their adaptability. They're already analyzing our attack patterns, developing countermeasures. He paused, mandibles clicking nervously before continuing. But there's more. We've detected a concentration of military power and technological advancement in one particular nation that surpasses all others. A country called the United States of America. The High Council leaned forward, their interest piqued. Tell us more about these Americans, they demanded. Little did the Zarkonians know, their greatest challenge was yet to come. As they turned their attention to the United States, they were about to discover that humans weren't just predators. Americans were apex predators, and the real battle for Earth was about to begin. The global assault. The Zarkonian fleet hung in Earth's orbit like a sword of Damocles, their ships casting long shadows across the face of the planet. Admiral Vexlor, his initial confidence shaken but resolve hardened, prepared to unleash the full might of the Galactic expansion force upon the defiant humans. Begin the assault, he commanded, his voice cold and determined. Target their major military installations, power grids, and communication centers. We'll show these predators what it means to face a truly superior species. Across the globe, Zarkonian ships descended through the atmosphere, their energy weapons charging with an ominous hum. The first strikes hit with devastating precision. In Russia, the aliens targeted the country's nuclear facilities. Blasts of energy far beyond human comprehension reduced hardened silos to molten slag, neutralizing a significant portion of humanity's most powerful weapons before they could even be launched. Net! Cried out General Andrei Volkov in the Kremlin's secret war room, watching in horror as Russia's nuclear deterrent was systematically dismantled. How did they find them all? Scramble everything we have left. But the Zarkonians were ruthlessly efficient. Russian fighter jets, among the most advanced on Earth, were swatted from the sky like insects. The aliens' energy shields easily deflected missiles, while their point defense systems turned the air into a maelstrom of explosions. In China, the assault focused on the country's vast industrial capacity. Massive factories that had been the engine of global manufacturing for decades were reduced to rubble in minutes. The Three Gorges Dam, a symbol of Chinese engineering prowess, crumbled under alien fire, unleashing a deluge that swept away entire cities. President Lin Wei, her face ashen, addressed her nation from an underground bunker. People of China, we face an enemy of unimaginable power, but we have faced invaders before, and we have prevailed. We will not surrender. We will fight with every resource at our disposal. Europe fared no better. The aliens, recognizing the threat posed by the European Union's united front, struck at the heart of its political and economic power. Brussels was engulfed in flames, the EU Parliament building collapsing as diplomats from across the continent fled for their lives. In London, Paris, and Berlin, scenes of devastation played out as alien ships methodically destroyed centers of government, military command, and critical infrastructure. The Eiffel Tower, standing for over a century, was vaporized in seconds. Big Ben's clock face exploded outward, shards of glass and steel raining down on panicked crowds below. Yet even in the face of such overwhelming force, humanity's spirit remained unbroken. In the ruins of Moscow, ordinary citizens formed human chains to clear rubble and rescue survivors. Chinese factory workers repurposed assembly lines to manufacture makeshift weapons and armor. European hackers launched cyber attacks against the alien ships, probing for weaknesses in their seemingly impenetrable defenses. Admiral Vexlor observed the ongoing resistance with a mixture of frustration and growing respect. These humans, they don't know when they're beaten, he muttered, watching holographic displays of the battles raging across the planet. Lieutenant Zaresh, analyzing data from the attacks, reported with a note of concern. "Admiral, our initial strikes have been successful, but the humans are adapting faster than anticipated. They're already developing new tactics, repurposing their technology in ways we didn't predict." Indeed, humanity's ingenuity was on full display as the species fought for its survival. In Japan, engineers quickly retrofitted their famous bullet trains into mobile command centers, streaking across the country to coordinate defense efforts while evading alien detection. India's vast population proved to be both a vulnerability and a strength. While millions perished in the initial attacks, the country's decentralized power structure and diverse cultures made it difficult for the aliens to land a decisive blow. Bollywood studios transformed overnight into propaganda centers, churning out morale-boosting messages that kept the population's spirits high. In Brazil, the dense Amazon rainforest provided cover for guerrilla operations. Indigenous tribes, drawing on centuries of jungle warfare experience, led devastating hit-and-run attacks against alien ground forces. The Zarkonians, unused to such terrain, found themselves bogged down in a grueling conflict they were ill-prepared for. But it was in Africa that humanity's resilience truly shone. Nations that had long been dismissed as Third World by global powers now became the backbone of Earth's resistance. Years of dealing with adversity, from natural disasters to civil wars, had forged a people uniquely suited to survive in the face of overwhelming odds. In Kenya, Maasai warriors, armed with little more than spears and their legendary courage, managed to bring down a Zarkonian scout ship. The alien technology recovered from the wreckage would prove crucial in humanity's fight back. South African scientists, working around the clock in hidden laboratories, began to reverse engineer alien weaponry. Within days, they had prototypes that could penetrate Zarkonian energy shields, providing a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Yet for all of humanity's determination and adaptability, the aliens' technological superiority was taking a devastating toll. Major cities lay in ruins, global communication networks were in tatters, and Earth's militaries had been reduced to a fraction of their former strength. As the first week of the invasion drew to a close, Admiral Vexlor prepared to address the High Council. The holographic figures shimmered into view, their expressions a mixture of impatience and concern. "Report, Admiral," the head counselor demanded. "Why is this primitive world not yet under our control?" Vexlor steeled himself, knowing his words could determine the fate of the invasion. "Honored Council, the situation is complex. The humans have proven far more resilient than our initial assessments suggested. Their ability to adapt and their sheer determination make them formidable opponents, despite their technological inferiority." He paused, mandibles clicking nervously before continuing. "However, we are making progress. Major power centers have been neutralized, and their global infrastructure is in ruins. It's only a matter of time before they succumb." The High Counselor leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "You seem less certain than when this invasion began, Admiral. Is there something you're not telling us?" Vexlor hesitated, then decided honesty was his best course. "There is one nation that continues to pose a significant threat. The United States of America has thus far repelled our major assaults. Their military capabilities and technological advancement surpass anything we've encountered on this planet." A murmur ran through the council. "These Americans," one counselor hissed. "What makes them different from the other humans?" "That's what we're trying to determine," Vexlor replied. "They possess weapons we haven't seen elsewhere on the planet. Their strategies are unpredictable, their resources vast, and they seem to be coordinating the global resistance, providing hope to other nations." The head counselor's expression darkened. "Then it's clear what must be done. Admiral Vexlor, you will focus the full might of our fleet on this United States. Crush their resistance, and the rest of the planet will fall." Vexlor bowed, a mixture of anticipation and apprehension coursing through him. "As you command, High Council, We will bring these Americans to their knees." As the holographic figures faded, Vexilor turned to his command staff. "Prepare all ships," he ordered. "We're about to face the toughest battle of this invasion." Little did the Zarkonians know, America had been preparing for this moment. In hidden bunkers deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in sprawling underground facilities in the Nevada desert, and in top-secret labs scattered across the country, the United States had been mobilizing its full scientific, military, and industrial might. General Rebecca Chen, newly appointed Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, stood in the heart of NORAD, surrounded by banks of humming computers and grim-faced officers. "They're coming," she announced, her voice steady and determined. "And we'll be ready for them." As the Zarkonian fleet began to converge on North America, humanity held its breath. The battle for Earth was about to reach its climax, and the fate of the entire species hung in the balance. The aliens were about to learn why Americans were considered the apex predators of Earth, and the lesson would be one they'd never forget. America stands firm. The skies over North America darkened as the Zarkonian fleet converged, their massive ships blotting out the sun. Admiral Vexilor, leading the assault from his flagship, felt a mixture of anticipation and unease. These Americans had proven more troublesome than expected, but surely they would crumble in the face of the Empire's full might. "Commence the attack," Vexilor commanded, his voice echoing through the ship's command center. "Show these humans the futility of their resistance." As the alien ships descended, targeting major cities and military installations, they expected scenes of panic and devastation similar to what they had witnessed around the globe. Instead, they were met with an unprecedented level of preparedness and coordination. In Washington, D.C., mere seconds before the alien weapons could fire, a shimmering energy field sprang to life over the city. The Zarkonian blasts splashed harmlessly against it, dissipating in brilliant flashes of light. "Impossible," Vexilor exclaimed, mandibles clicking in agitation. "How do they possess shield technology?" Similar scenes played out across the country. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. Each major metropolitan area was suddenly enveloped in protective bubbles that the aliens couldn't penetrate. General Rebecca Chen, watching from deep within Cheyenne Mountain, allowed herself a small smile. "Looks like Project Aegis is a success," she remarked to her staff. "Now, let's show these ET bastards what else we've got up our sleeves." As the Zarkonians reeled from this unexpected defense, America unleashed its counterattack. From hidden silos in the heartland, a new type of missile streaked into the sky. Unlike conventional weapons, these projectiles seemed to phase in and out of reality, easily slipping through the aliens' energy shields and detonating against their hulls. "Quantum missiles, online and effective," a young lieutenant reported, his voice tinged with excitement. Multiple direct hits confirmed. For the first time since the invasion began, Zarkonian ships began to fall from the sky. The aliens, who had grown complacent in their perceived invulnerability, found themselves scrambling to adapt to weapons they couldn't understand. But America's surprises didn't end there. As alien ground forces attempted to land in the Midwest, they found themselves facing an army unlike any they had encountered before. U.S. soldiers, clad in powered exoskeletons that enhanced their strength and speed, engaged the invaders in close combat. These suits, the product of decades of secret development, allowed humans to go toe-to-toe with the physically superior Zarkonians. The aliens, used to easily overpowering their opponents, suddenly found themselves in grueling battles where victory was no longer assured. In the skies, squadrons of next-generation aircraft emerged from hidden underground hangars. These planes, incorporating partially reverse-engineered alien technology, were piloted by a combination of human aces and advanced AI systems. They danced through the air in impossible maneuvers, running circles around the Zarkonian fighters. Admiral Vexilor watched in growing horror as his invasion force was systematically dismantled. "How?" he demanded, slamming his appendages against his command console. "How are they doing this?" The answer, unknown to the Zarkonians, lay in America's long history of paranoia and preparation. Since the early days of the Cold War, the United States had been pouring vast resources into secret projects designed to combat threats both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. Area 51, long the subject of conspiracy theories, had indeed been the site of advanced weapons development. The Philadelphia experiment, far from being a myth, had laid the groundwork for the quantum technology now saving American lives. But it wasn't just military might that gave America its edge. The country's diverse population, a melting pot of cultures and ideas, provided a wellspring of innovation that the aliens couldn't match. In Silicon Valley, tech geniuses who had once devoted their talents to social media apps now worked around the clock to hack alien systems. A team led by a former child prodigy from India managed to infiltrate the Zarkonian communication network, feeding false information that threw their battle plans into disarray. Hollywood special effects artists, their imaginations honed by years of creating alien invasions for the silver screen, now applied their skills to design holographic projections that confused and misdirected enemy forces. Even America's capitalist spirit played a role in the defense. Major corporations, their production lines retooled for war, churned out advanced weaponry and defensive systems at a pace the aliens found difficult to comprehend. As the battle raged on, the Zarkonians found themselves facing a foe that seemed to have an answer for every move they made. American forces, coordinated by AI-enhanced command systems, predicted and countered alien strategies with uncanny accuracy. In orbit, the tables had turned. American space forces, hidden in secret lunar bases established years earlier, launched attacks on the Zarkonian fleet from behind. Caught in a pincer movement between Earth-based defenses and the lunar assault, alien ships began to retreat. Admiral Vexlor, his flagship rocked by another quantum missile impact, finally admitted the unthinkable. All forces, he broadcast, his voice heavy with defeat, initiate emergency withdrawal. Regroup at the rally point beyond this system's asteroid belt. As Zarkonian ships fled Earth's orbit, cheers erupted in command centers across America. General Chen, allowing herself a moment of celebration, addressed her troops. "Outstanding work, everyone. But this isn't over. We've bloodied their nose, but they'll be back. And next time, they'll be ready for what we've shown them today." She turned to her senior staff, her expression grim but determined. "Get me the president, and patch in all allied leaders. It's time to take this fight to the enemy." In the aftermath of the failed invasion, America's success became a beacon of hope for the rest of the world. Nations that had been on the brink of collapse found new strength in the knowledge that the aliens could be beaten. Global leaders, many operating from hidden bunkers, convened in an emergency virtual summit. The U.S. President, speaking from a hardened facility deep beneath the Appalachian Mountains, addressed his counterparts. "My fellow leaders, today we have proven that humanity will not go quietly into the night. America's victory is not just our own. It belongs to all of Earth. Now, we must unite as never before. We will share our technology, our strategies, our resources. Together, we will take the fight to the stars and show these invaders that humanity is not just a species of predators, but the apex predators of the galaxy." As the conference concluded, a new sense of purpose swept across the planet. Humanity, led by American ingenuity and determination, was no longer just fighting for survival. They were preparing to take the war to the Zarkonians. In his flagship, limping away from the Earth, Admiral Vexlor faced the holographic projections of the High Council. Their expressions were a mixture of rage and disbelief. "Explain yourself, Admiral," the head counselor hissed. "How could you fail against such a primitive species?" Vexlor, his exoskeleton bearing the scars of battle, straightened himself. "Honored Council, we have gravely underestimated these humans, particularly the Americans. They are not prey, nor are they merely predators. They are something we have never encountered before, a species that thrives on challenge, that grows stronger in the face of adversity." He paused, letting his words sink in. We must rethink our entire strategy. For if we do not learn from this defeat, I fear it will not be the last. As the Zarkonian fleet retreated to lick its wounds, Earth began its preparations in earnest. The aliens had awakened a sleeping giant, and in doing so, had sown the seeds of their own destruction. The next phase of the war was about to begin, and humanity was determined to bring the fight to the stars. The tide turns. In the wake of America's stunning victory against the Zarkonian invasion, a new era of global cooperation dawned on Earth. The success of the United States in repelling the alien forces had not only saved humanity from subjugation, but had also provided a blueprint for resistance that could be adapted and implemented worldwide. General Rebecca Chen, now overseeing the newly formed Earth Defense Coalition, EDC, stood before a diverse group of military leaders, scientists, and diplomats in a fortified bunker beneath the Swiss Alps. The room buzzed with a mixture of excitement and determination. Ladies and gentlemen, Chen began, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. We've proven that we can fight back. Now it's time to take the next step. We're going to turn their technology against them and bring the fight to the Zarkonians. Across the globe, nations that had once been bitter rivals now worked in unprecedented harmony. Russian and American scientists collaborated on advancing quantum propulsion technology. Chinese and Indian engineers joined forces to mass-produce advanced exoskeletons. European and African AI experts combined their expertise to create even more sophisticated battle management systems. In orbit, the International Space Station, hastily fortified and expanded in the wake of the invasion, became the nerve center for humanity's push into space. Astronauts from dozens of countries worked tirelessly to construct Earth's first true warships, incorporating both reverse-engineered Zarkonian technology and human innovations. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a brilliant Japanese physicist, made a breakthrough in understanding the aliens' faster-than-light drive. It's not just about speed, she explained to a captivated audience of global leaders. Their drive bends space-time itself. If we can replicate it, we can strike at the heart of their empire. Meanwhile, on the ground, the process of adapting alien technology for human use accelerated at a dizzying pace. In the sprawling tech hubs of Shenzhen, engineers worked around the clock to miniaturize Zarkonian energy shields. Within months, every major city on Earth was protected by a shimmer of advanced force field technology. In the Amazon rainforest, a coalition of indigenous shamans and Western botanists made a startling discovery. Certain rare plants, when combined with Zarkonian biocircuitry, produced a substance that enhanced human cognitive abilities. This neural boost allowed human pilots to interface more effectively with the advanced systems of their new hybrid fighters. As Earth prepared its counteroffensive, the Zarkonians regrouped at their forward base on Mars. Admiral Vexlor, his position precarious after the failure of the initial invasion, pored over reports of human activity with growing alarm. "They're advancing too quickly," he muttered, mandibles clicking nervously. "At this rate, they'll be knocking at the doors of our core worlds within a solar cycle." His fears were well-founded. Just 6 months after repelling the invasion, humanity launched its first major offensive. A fleet of Earth ships, a mix of sleek human designs and refitted Zarkonian vessels, dropped out of FTL on the edges of the Sol system. Leading the charge was the EDS Resilience, Earth's first true battleship. At its helm stood Captain Zara Okonkwo, a veteran of the Nigerian Space Force. Her voice rang out clear and confident across the comms. "All ships, this is Captain Okonkwo. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity is a force to be reckoned with." The battle that followed would go down in history as the turning point of the war. Human ships, more maneuverable and unpredictable than their alien counterparts, danced through the void. Quantum missiles phased through Zarkonian shields, while Earth fighters exploited weaknesses that the aliens didn't even know existed in their own technology. On Mars, Admiral Vexlor watched in horror as his defensive line crumbled. Impossible, he breathed, watching human ships effortlessly evade maneuvers that should have trapped them. How are they doing this? The answer lay in humanity's greatest strength, its diversity. Earth's fleet didn't fight with a single predictable doctrine. Each ship, each squadron brought its own unique approach to battle. Chinese fighters employed intricate teamwork learned from centuries of martial arts. Israeli captains used cunning feints and ambushes inspired by their nation's history of asymmetric warfare. Brazilian pilots brought the flair and unpredictability of capoeira to their space combat techniques. As the battle raged, a small team of Earth Special Forces, led by Colonel Sarah Harper of the U.S. Delta Force, infiltrated the Zarkonian base on Mars. Moving swiftly through the alien facility in their advanced stealth suits, they reached the central database. "We're in," Harper reported, her voice tense but controlled. "Uploading the virus now." The virus, a collaborative effort of the world's best hackers and AI developers, tore through the Zarkonian systems. Suddenly, the aliens found their ships unresponsive, their weapons offline. In the confusion, Earth's fleet pressed its advantage. Admiral Vexlor, realizing the battle was lost, made a desperate attempt to escape. But as his flagship turned to flee, it found itself face to face with the EDS Resilience. Captain Okonkwo's voice crackled over the comms. "Admiral Vexlor, in the name of Earth and all its peoples, I demand your immediate surrender." Faced with the unfathomable reality of defeat, Vexlor slumped in his command chair. "We surrender," he croaked, his voice heavy with disbelief. As news of the victory spread, celebrations erupted across Earth. In Times Square, Rio de Janeiro, Tokyo, and countless other cities, humans danced in the streets, marveling at holoprojections of their triumphant fleet. But in the secure war room beneath the Swiss Alps, General Chen tempered the jubilation with caution. "This is a great victory," she acknowledged to her assembled staff. "But it's only the beginning. We've won a battle, not the war. The Zarkonian Empire is vast, and they'll not take this defeat lightly." Indeed, as reports of the Mars debacle reached the Zarkonian homeworld, the High Council was thrown into chaos. The head counselor, his usual composure shattered, addressed his peers. How could this happen? These humans were nothing but primitive savages mere cycles ago. A junior counselor, her carapace still shiny with youth, spoke up. Perhaps we've been looking at this all wrong. These humans, they're not just predators. They're something we've never encountered before. They thrive on challenge. They adapt at a rate that defies comprehension." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The head counselor's eyes narrowed. "Then we must adapt as well. Summon the Grand Fleet. We will crush these upstart humans with overwhelming force." As the Zarkonians prepared their counterattack, humanity pushed forward with its offensive. The EDS Resilience and its fleet, bolstered by their victory, began a campaign of hit-and-run attacks on Zarkonian outposts and supply lines. Earth's scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to unlock more secrets of alien technology. Dr. Tanaka's team made further breakthroughs in FTL travel, allowing human ships to strike deeper into enemy territory. The neural boost technology was refined, giving human operators even greater control over hybrid weapon systems. In classrooms and training centers around the world, a new generation was being prepared for the realities of an interstellar civilization. Children who had once dreamed of being astronauts now set their sights on becoming xenolinguists, exoplanetary colonists, and deep space explorers. As humanity expanded its reach among the stars, it encountered other species that had suffered under Zarkonian rule. Many of these aliens, inspired by Earth's resistance, joined the fight against their former oppressors. The conflict evolved from a simple human-Zarkonian war into a pan-galactic struggle for freedom. Captain Okonkwo, standing on the bridge of the Resilience, as it prepared to lead a multi-species assault on a key Zarkonian stronghold, reflected on how far they had come. "We entered this war fighting for our survival," She news to her XO, a towering insectoid from a recently liberated world. Now we're fighting for the freedom of the entire galaxy. As the fleet prepared to jump to FTL, the stars streaked past the view screen. Humanity, once confined to a single world, was now a force that shook the foundations of a galactic empire. The Zarkonians had awakened not just predators, but a species of innovators, adapters, and liberators. The final battle loomed on the horizon, and Earth stood ready to prove once and for all that humans weren't just apex predators. They were the guardians of a free galaxy. Apex predators revealed. The Zarkonian home system, Zarkon Prime, bristled with defenses. Countless warships, defense platforms, and minefields created a seemingly impenetrable barrier around the aliens' crown jewel. At the center of it all loomed the Imperial Palace, a structure of such massive scale that it dwarfed entire continents. Within the palace's war room, the Zarkonian High Council convened for what they knew could be their final meeting. The head counselor, his exoskeleton showing signs of stress and age, addressed his peers. Fellow counselors, the unthinkable has happened. These humans and their allies approach our very doorstep. Our grand fleet has failed to stop them. We must consider the possibility of defeat. A chorus of angry clicks and hisses filled the chamber. Impossible, one counselor shouted. We are the Zarkonian Empire. We have ruled the stars for millennia. And yet, the head counselor replied grimly, here we are. As the Zarkonians grappled with their impending doom, the combined fleet of Earth and its allies prepared for the final assault. The Armada was a testament to the unity that humanity had fostered among the stars. Sleek Earth battleships flew alongside the organic vessels of the freed Xeraxians, while swarms of Volcran fighter craft darted between massive Andromedian dreadnoughts. At the head of this incredible force was the EDS Humanity's Hope, the most advanced ship ever produced by human hands. On its bridge stood General Rebecca Chen, now Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces. Beside her was Captain Zara Okonkwo, her trusted right hand throughout the long campaign. All ships report ready, General, Okonkwo announced, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Zarkonian home system. Then it's time. Open a channel to the fleet. As the communication link activated, Chen's words reached every ship, every soldier, every being in the vast armada. Warriors of Earth and our noble allies, this is General Chen. Before us lies the heart of the empire that sought to enslave us all. They thought us weak, they thought us prey. But we have shown them, and the galaxy, that we are so much more. We are innovators, we are adapters, we are the apex predators they never saw coming. She paused, letting her words sink in. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for every species that has suffered under Zarkonian oppression. Today, we bring freedom to the stars. All ships, commence the attack. With that command, the greatest battle in galactic history began. The Allied fleet surged forward, employing tactics and technologies that the Zarkonians could scarcely comprehend. Earth's quantum missiles, now refined to unprecedented power, phased through the strongest shields, striking at the heart of enemy defenses. Xeraxian psionics reached out across vast distances, confusing and terrifying Zarkonian crews. Volcran fighters, piloted by humans using the neural boost technology, performed maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics. But the Zarkonians did not go quietly. Backed into a corner, they fought with a ferocity born of desperation. The space around Zarkon Prime became a maelstrom of energy beams, explosions, and debris. As the battle raged, a small team slipped through the chaos. Led by Colonel Sarah Harper, now a hardened veteran of 100 worlds, this elite group had a mission that could decide the fate of the war. Their target, the Zarkonian Central Command buried deep beneath the Imperial Palace. Harper's team, a mix of Earth's best and elite warriors from allied species, fought their way through the palatial corridors. They encountered fierce resistance, but nothing could stand before their combination of human ingenuity, alien abilities, and sheer determination. Finally, they breached the Central Command Center. Harper found herself face to face with the Zarkonian High Council, the beings responsible for so much suffering across the galaxy. "Surrender," Harper demanded, her voice cold as steel. "It's over." The head counselor, looking somehow small and frail despite his imposing exoskeleton, stepped forward. "How?" he asked, his voice a mixture of fear and awe. "How did you do this? You were nothing but savages on a backwater world when we found you." Harper allowed herself a small, grim smile. "That was your first mistake. You saw what you expected to see. Prey. You never bothered to look deeper." As Harper spoke, holographic displays around the room flickered to life, showing the battle raging outside. The Allied fleet was pressing its advantage, the Zarkonian defenses crumbling. "Humans aren't just predators," Harper continued. "We're innovators, explorers. We thrive on challenge. Each obstacle you put in our way only made us stronger, more determined. And more than that, we know how to make friends." She gestured to her diverse team. "Every species you oppressed became our ally. Your empire was built on fear and domination. Ours is built on cooperation and mutual respect." The head counselor slumped in defeat. We surrender," he whispered. As word of the Zarkonian surrender spread, the fighting gradually ceased. The Allied fleet, battered but victorious, took control of the Zarkon system. Cheers erupted across thousands of ships as the realization dawned. The war was over. They had won. In the days that followed, the galaxy entered a new era. The Zarkonian Empire, which had stood for thousands of years, was dismantled. Its subject worlds were freed, its vast resources redirected towards rebuilding and reparations. Earth, once a primitive world on the edge of the galaxy, now stood at the center of a new interstellar alliance. The United Nations expanded to become the United Planets, a forum where species from across the stars could meet as equals. Admiral Vexilor, now a prisoner of war, was brought before a tribunal of Earth and Allied leaders. General Chen, presiding over the hearing, asked him a simple question. "Do you understand now? Do you see what we truly are?" Vexilor nodded slowly. "We were fools," he admitted. "We saw your technology, your divided nations, and thought you weak. We never understood the strength that lies beneath. You humans, you're not just predators. You're something we've never encountered before. You grow stronger in the face of adversity. You unite when threatened. And most incredibly, you lift others up alongside you." Chen nodded, satisfied. "Remember that, Admiral. And let your people remember it too. We don't seek vengeance or domination. We want a galaxy where all species can thrive together." As news of the victory spread across Earth, celebrations erupted on an unprecedented scale. In Times Square, Rio de Janeiro, Tokyo, Moscow, and countless other cities, humans danced in the streets, marveling at holographic displays of their triumphant fleet and their new alien allies. But amidst the jubilation, Earth's leaders were already looking to the future. In a secure conference room atop the newly constructed Space Needle in Seattle, now Earth's link to the stars, President Kimberly Chen, no relation to the general, addressed a group of human and alien diplomats. "Today we celebrate a great victory," she began. "But our work is just beginning. We've proven ourselves as warriors. Now we must prove ourselves as peacekeepers, as innovators, as the caretakers of a free galaxy." She gestured to the stars visible through the room's transparent dome. "Out there are wonders we've only begun to imagine, challenges we've yet to face. But together, united in our diversity, there's nothing we cannot achieve." As the diplomats applauded, Captain Zara Okonkwo stood at a viewport on the EDS Humanity's Hope, now in orbit around Earth. She watched her home planet spin below, beautiful and blue, no longer alone in the cosmic night. "You know," she said to her XO, the insectoid alien who had become a close friend through their shared battles, "when I was a little girl in Lagos, I used to look up at the stars and dream of adventures. I never imagined anything like this. The XO chittered in amusement. And what do you dream of now, Captain? Okonkwo smiled, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Now, I dream of what we'll discover out there. Of the friends we'll make, the wonders we'll see. We've proven we're the apex predators of the galaxy, yes. But we can be so much more than that. We can be its guardians, its explorers, its visionaries. As if in response to her words, a notification chimed on a nearby console. A new transmission was coming in from deep space, from a region of the galaxy no Earth ship had yet visited. Well, Okonkwo said, straightening her uniform, shall we see what new adventure awaits? And with that, humanity, no longer just the apex predators of Earth, but the guardians of a free galaxy, prepared to take its next bold step into the cosmic unknown.